All right, my friends, this is Steve with Real Progressives. Wouldn't it be great if every one of our live streams could be a pure festival of joy for progressives, singing about all of our candidates? That's not the way it's going to be tonight, unfortunately, but I'm not going to be brutal. I'm just going to be honest. So, as you know, Real Progressives' primary focus over the last 4 years, aside from supporting all things progressive, has been to push for a New Deal, push for a Green New Deal, and more importantly, push for a federal job guarantee. And a federal job guarantee is an incredibly important part of both what would make up a Green New Deal, but it's also an important lesson to be learned from the global financial crisis. For those of you who didn't get swept up in unemployment during that time period, congratulations. But for the rest of us, it was a terrifying experience. It was an absolutely horrifying experience. So, needless to say, when I heard Tulsi Gabbard on the Young Turks the other night, Cenk was playing softball with her. He did ask her some tough questions, but he did so as a friend. And you can hear it in this upcoming piece that we're about to play. So before I get too far into this, I want you to understand that this is not my words. These are Tulsi's.
Green New Deal. Are you in favor of it?
I'm in favor of these goals that we have to take aggressive action to address the climate crisis that we face. This is why I introduced last year the Off Fossil Fuels Act, an actionable plan to get our country off of fossil fuels, make investments in green, renewable energy economy, provide that support for training a workforce to be able to help support us in getting there. There are some provisions in the Green New Deal resolution that I have a problem with, one being the federal jobs guarantee. That's not something that is fleshed out in any way in the resolution. And if we look at that concept just broadly, we have seen how it has been tried and failed in other countries.
Okay, so that's a clear answer.
So that was Tulsi, and I want to explain something to you. Saying that she's on the Off Fossil Fuels Act is not the same thing as a federal job guarantee. So for the people that say, hey, she supports this, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that may be the best of the bunch. It may be something that should be blended with the framework of a Green New Deal. For those people that just rabidly support Tulsi at all costs without considering what I'm saying, I don't know. I kind of experienced that during the 2016 election when people rabidly supported Hillary and others, right? The idea here is we're progressives. We're intended to be the smarter people in the room. That means that we're supposed to also be talking about the issues, not rabidly defending a candidate. We do that, we're just no better than the vote blue sycophants. So keep that in mind as I explain this to you. The federal job guarantee is a core component of not only modern monetary theory, but the framework of a Green New Deal. There's a couple reasons for this, not the least of which is the fact that a job should be a guaranteed right as a citizen of the United States. Not just a citizen, quite frankly, I would go so far as to say anyone that wants one that's in the United States legally should have a legal right to a job. See, what happens is this. There's a fundamental misunderstanding of the way economics works, and there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what happened during the global financial crisis. And there's an even more fundamental misunderstanding about what a tax is and why people are unemployed to begin with. Now, under modern monetary theory, we believe clearly that if there is unemployment, the deficit is simply too small. But there's a point where spending money on different things doesn't necessarily equal new jobs. So the federal job guarantee is a buffer stock, a way of ensuring that number one, we have a living wage as our base floor. Number two, that every person in America that wants to have a job has a job. No more involuntary unemployment. And the other thing is understanding what the tax is. Imposing a tax created the very first unemployed person. Because in order to get the money to pay the tax on their hut or their house or on their land or whatever, they needed to have a piece of paper. That piece of paper was a U.S. dollar. And that U.S. dollar can only come from earning it. If you don't have any means of coming up with that money, people have to find a way to pay the tax. So there's a saying going way back that there is no unemployment in non-monetary economies. Well, we live in a monetary economy, and therefore not having a guaranteed right to a job, we are imposing misery on millions of people. Involuntary unemployment currently is brought on by something called NAIRU, N-A-I-R-U, and it is the intentional percentage of people that the government seeks to keep unemployed to ensure that we don't have inflation. Think about that. I want you to understand what I just said. The government forces a certain number of people to be unemployed against their will. A federal job guarantee not only solves that, but it also ensures that as we transition into a green economy, as we transition away from fossil fuels, as we transition away from some of these other industries that have no future, as we move into a green economy, it ensures that they have a job. It ensures that those families don't go destitute. Now, if you look, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going down to the coal miners and talking to them about just transitions. She's talking about finding ways to make them whole as we transition away from coal and other fossil fuels. A federal job guarantee is a core component of doing these things. Now, Tulsi said that she is against a job guarantee. You heard her. It was clear as day. I'm not making it up. Now, there's only a couple ways that's even remotely possible. She was at Sanders Institute with Stephanie Kelton and Jane Sanders and Bernie Sanders, all of which are core supporters of a federal job guarantee. I want to know who Tulsi's economic team is that's advising her that this is a bad move because it's economically illiterate. I want to know who is telling her to go this way, because I support her very much in her policy on foreign affairs. I support her very much on her anti-war stances. There's some things, some words, some verbiage that maybe I wouldn't choose to support in other ways when it comes to Islam and other things like that. But I definitely support Tulsi in so many ways. Why in the world does somebody with so much potential take such a piss-poor economic stance when it comes to ensuring that the next global financial crisis? Now, mind you, when we go into a transition of green energy, there is going to be situations where jobs of yesteryear are no longer around. And more importantly, way more importantly, we have a financial crisis brewing as it stands right now. Right now you see us burdened with student debt. You see businesses taking on ridiculous amounts of debt as they buy back their stocks. Folks, you're seeing all manner of repeat of global financial crisis. You're seeing a slowdown in hiring. Do you know that out of all the jobs in America that were created, California had like almost all of them? I think the economy grew 14,000 jobs total outside of California. Think about that for a minute. The economy is coming to a crawl. not only did the Trump tax cuts not actually do anything to help the average person because they were mainly for the wealthy, but all the other cuts to things. I mean, the man just tried to cut Special Olympics. They're trying to cut monies for special needs. I'm not joking. A federal job guarantee is a direct response to the meltdown, the global financial crisis that we experienced just a few minutes ago. And many accounts would say we never have left. So Kelton and the rest of the economically literate world are fighting tooth and nail for a federal job guarantee. It's time Tulsi Gabbard stop talking about things she doesn't understand and start getting with her people, friends. These are friends. These are co-workers that were at the Sanders Institute, her friends. Why is she not listening to them? Why is she not seeking their advice? Who is she trying to impress? It makes no sense. There is energy behind a Green New Deal. If she wants to go back and negotiate with them and say, hey, I'm down with your Green New Deal, but here's this other act that we'd like to roll into it. Now, what I'm hearing from Tulsi is she's afraid that there's too many programs basically out there, too expansive, too expansionary, and she doesn't quite understand the economics. And that's terrifying to me. But Tulsi hasn't even earned enough money yet in her trying to fundraise for her candidacy to get on the stage yet. And I'd like to see that change. She needs to be up there. But if she's going to be an effective part of this next wave of progressive forward progress, she needs to get on board and be a champion for a federal job guarantee. And I wanted just to put an exclamation point on this. Here we've got Bernie Sanders. And what does Bernie Sanders say? When we're in the White House, we will enact a federal jobs guarantee to ensure everyone is guaranteed a stable job between transforming our energy system and rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. There is more than enough work to be done. Let's do it. Now, for me, I happen to be known as Austerity is Murder on Twitter. I said, let me be clear. Involuntary unemployment is cruel, unnecessary. Straight from the unemployment line, the struggle is real and it needn't be. We need a job guarantee now.
So, if you guys like Tulsi, and I like Tulsi, make no mistake about it, Tulsi's great. But one thing Tulsi's not doing, she's not fighting for a job guarantee. And we desperately need her to do that. So Tulsi, if you're listening, Real Progressives has been going out and following your campaign stops. We've been filming everything we can of yours. We've been trying to support you as well as Bernie and anyone else that's true, real progressive. Your stance on the federal job guarantee and the Green New Deal, no bueno. Get with the program, Tulsi. Have a good day, everybody. I'm out.